Until not too long ago, compressed natural gas or CNG cars were considered as basic means of transport. Those who bought CNG cars made peace with their no-frills approach, and they also made peace with the lack of boot space. But according to Tata Motors, most buyers have their CNG car as the only car in their family. So even those buyers are looking for modern features, and even those buyers are seeking the practicality of a large boot. And the car we're driving here today not only addresses those concerns, but also takes aspirational value to a whole different level. Say hello to the Tata Nexon CNG. Today we are going to approach this review a little differently. Since we had limited time with the car, we decided to make the most of it. We start our day by filling up its CNG tank. We reset its meters. The odo reads 905 kilometers at the start of our drive, and we hit the highway. Our objective was to drive in a sedate manner till a point where we run out of CNG to let you know of the travel range you can expect on a single tank of CNG. And now, back to the review. Tata Motors is really looking to carpet bomb the compact SUV segment. With the Nexon, it offers a multiple choice of powertrain options. There's turbo petrol, there's diesel, there's EV, and now there's the CNG. And also you get a multiple choice of transmission options. So Tata Motors is really offering the consumers the widest choice. With prices starting from Rs 7.99 lakh for the turbo petrol and going all the way up to Rs 17 lakh for the top spec EV, there's a Nexon for everyone across a wide price range. Now we shift focus on the CNG version, the newest in the Nexon range. The iCNG Nexon has a lot of segment firsts to its name. For starters, the Nexon is the first ever turbo petrol car to be paired with a CNG option. It is also the first CNG car with a 6-speed manual transmission. And finally, this is the first CNG car to be equipped with a panoramic sunroof. But we'll get to its feature list in just a bit. Now, like its stablemates, the Nexon iCNG gets twin cylinder tanks, 30 liters capacity each, which lie beneath the boot floor. But what is it like to drive? The iCNG version makes 20 horsepower less than the regular turbo petrol Nexon, but its torque figure at 170 Nm is identical. What's different in here is that the max torque is delivered for a shorter band compared to the turbo petrol version. But really, can you feel the power deficit in the real world? Well, quite honestly, you cannot. In fact, the iCNG feels just as smooth and just as drivable as the regular turbo petrol Nexon. Compared to other versions of the Nexon, you do not get drive modes in this one, so there's no city, eco or sport mode. In fact, they're just a default drive setting, but quite honestly, you'll be happy with this one. A status update, we've done 70 kilometers in 1 hour 16 minutes and consumed about half the CNG tank. Now let's see how this goes. We've tested this car in its petrol and CNG mode, and here are the numbers on your screen right now. In terms of outright acceleration, the car accelerates from 0 to 60 km per hour at an identical pace. However, the petrol outpaces the CNG in a sprint to 100 km per hour by a small margin. But from 20 to 80 km per hour in third gear or 40 to 100 km per hour in fourth gear, the petrol is much quicker to build pace. However, these are conditions when your foot is pinned to the accelerator pedal. But in the real world, with part throttle inputs, the difference in performance is barely perceptible. Interestingly, in CNG mode, the engine revs to 5,500 RPM only, whereas in petrol mode, it spins up to 6,000 RPM. If you are paying attention, you will hear a gravelly note emanating from under the hood. And when you spin this motor harder, you will hear the typical 3-cylinder thrum. In that respect, it is not as smooth or as refined as some of the 4-cylinder units out there. Status update, so we've done 126 kilometers in 2 hours 45 minutes and we've consumed about 3/4 of the CNG tank. The iCNG's clutch is in the lightest around and the competitors do offer a slightly better clutch feel. In fact, even its gear shift quality, well, it is smooth, but it is not buttery smooth like you get in some of its Japanese rivals. The Nexon iCNG suspension feels equally tough and just as comfortable as the regular turbo petrol Nexon, and it gives you a good amount of confidence while cruising on the highway. Actually, its rear suspension feels a touch softer than the standard petrol Nexon. Hence, as far as bump absorption goes, the CNG version feels nicer. So we've covered 204 kilometers in 4 hours and 14 minutes, and after a warning, the car has automatically switched to petrol mode. So there you have it, on a highway run, 204 kilometers on a single tank of CNG, and that's something you can expect in the real world too. We headed to the CNG pump thereafter to fill the tank once again. After waiting for an excruciating 20 minutes in line for our turn to come, the Nexon took 7.5 kilograms of CNG before its tanks were full. A point to note is that Tata claims that the total tank capacity is 9 kilograms. However, unlike petrol or diesel, CNG tanks often require different quantities of gas to fill at various times of the day due to changes in pressure and temperature that affect the density of the gas. Hence, getting an accurate reading isn't very simple. As far as its interiors go, these are identical to the standard Nexon, with the only difference being the absence of a drive mode selector, which can now be used as a small storage area. Being a CNG car, as part of regulation, it gets a fire extinguisher placed beneath the front passenger seat. The instrument cluster has 2 readouts, one for CNG and one for its petrol tank, and there's also a nifty animation which throws up the split of CNG and petrol consumed. Tata is offering a panoramic sunroof with the top spec Nexon iCNG, which is currently reserved only for this version. However, it will soon make its way on other versions as well. What's nice is that despite its large panoramic sunroof, space at the rear is ample for a person of my height. For reference, I'm 5 feet 9 inches tall. As mentioned earlier, the twin CNG tanks are placed beneath the boot floor. The 321-litre space is very usable, and the rear seats also fold in a 60-40 split. And the best part is that it also gets a spare tyre beneath its boot floor. While the Nexon iCNG misses cruise control, unlike its petrol or diesel counterparts, here's a full list of all the features it packs in. The Nexon iCNG is available with a starting price of Rs 9 lakh, going all the way to 14.6 lakh, which is a premium of 1 to 1.3 lakh over the turbo petrol Nexon. Now for that additional money, not only do you get the practicality of the Nexon, like its 208mm ground clearance, its spacious cabin, its 321-litre boot, but you also get a feature-packed cabin with kit like a 360-degree camera, ventilated front seats, and the panoramic sunroof, the latter which is reserved only for the CNG variant as of now. In addition, you also benefit from CNG's lower running costs. So if you've always loved the Nexon for what it offers, but held on to your purchase because the EV was a bit too expensive and the diesel came with an air of uncertainty around it, then the iCNG version is certainly a great option for you to consider.